G'day everyone. So the Wall Street Journal published an article today entitled How a 4-Day Workweek Actually Works from the Companies Pulling It Off. Now I was lucky enough to be quoted in this article on the back of my work writing the book Time Rich and my article for Harvard Business Review, The Case for the 6-Hour Workday. And basically the author or writer, Vanessa Furmans, sought out my thoughts and sentiments on the 4-day workweek. Now, essentially, I think a 4-day workweek can work if you are one of 4 types of organizations. Number 1, you're a very unproductive organization, you're bloated, you've got way too much headcount, so much so that you can cut 20% of your workweek off and not suffer any consequence in terms of your output or your productivity. Case in point, Twitter, or now X.com. When Musk took over, Twitter's headcount was culled by 75%. And the outcome of this was little to no consequence on operations. So number 1, unproductive workforce. Number 2, your organization is prepared to use a shorter work week as a forcing function to get better at how you work. Now this means greater use of automation and AI, greater outsourcing, better prioritization, focusing on the 20% in the 80-20, minimizing waste, cutting unnecessary meetings, and using better workflow management to get the most out of every person in your organization. When my organization experimented with the 6-hour workday, we basically found that that forced us to do away with all the pointless meetings, do away with all the pointless processes, automate more, outsource more, and essentially spend more time in deep work getting important stuff done. Number 3, perhaps you're quite comfortable wearing the hit to your productivity. You know, we've got this growth imperative in our Western capitalist culture that we need to keep growing. Now that's not necessarily true. You might be quite happy with where your organization is at. You know, there's nothing written saying that you need to keep growing. And if you're happy suffering a small hit to your productivity, to your revenue, to your outcomes, and enjoying the trade-off, which is greater freedom, more time to spend with family, friends, health, fitness, interests, hobbies, then that's great. So be it. And number 4, you're prepared to make up for it by working longer hours on the remaining 4 days. Now this could be 10-hour days, it could be 12-hour days, which isn't ideal. And the downside to this is most of us can really only exert ourselves for about 4 to 6 hours. In fact, the science says we can only spend about 4 hours in deep work or the flow state per day. After which point, you know, once you get to 6 hours, you know this from your afternoon crash, productivity starts to taper off. So while you might try to make up for it by working 10 to 12-hour days, chances are half of those days are going to be spent on busy work, which isn't really going to move the needle all that much. So if you'd like some more insights on productivity, on workflow management, check out my last book, Time Rich, which you can find at all good bookstores and on Amazon.com. You can find my articles over at Harvard Business Review on better ways of work. And finally, check out my numerous articles over at Glaveski.com.